Órale, pendejo! Where's my Wii Fury weapon, man?
No need for that nonsense, Senor Criticalando. Go do your thing.
Hombre! That's all you're good for! What do you think we brought you here for? Your shitty PSOs?
My shit DPS? Man, you don't know nothing. Flame Shock
You suck!
and Lava Lash. Storm Strike. I am the future, amigo.
Ay, caramba! Botar la casa por la ventana, you so powerful, hombre! How you do this?
Simple, dear assassino, with talents, gear, legendaries, tier sets, and more!
More? But who even are you, man?
Well, I'll tell you who I am not.
Yo no soy marinero. Yo no soy marinero. Soy un shaman, enhanced shaman. Arriba! Bamba, lava, lash. Bamba, storm strike. Yeah.
But before we go into it, you should check our game-based channel. It's our other channel and we play a lot of games, most recently a lot more League of Legends. So if you are a League fan and you want to see us dick around and slap our faces with a lot of Bronze League players, that sounds very wrong, but you can definitely still check our game-based channel for League content and some game reviews, first impressions, documentaries, opinion pieces, and all of that good stuff. It's a fairly newish channel and we could really use some likes and subscribes to grow a little bit and, you know, have some fun when Azeroth takes a break. Now, since it doesn't always take a break, we're going back into talents. 9.2 finally launched for more than a month and Enhancement got a bunch of changes, buffs and everything. And it's pumping hard as fuck. Are you ready for what it has become? When storming the battlefield as Enhancement, you have to know that you will have 3 motherfucking builds this time. The single target Elemental Spirits build, the Cleave build which will make Flame Shock hit as a truck, and the more bursty Doomwinds build that will be better in AoE. And with this in mind, on the first row for the single target build you will go for Elemental Blast. It's a blast that can benefit from Maelstrom weapon, will deal big ass damage and grant you a random secondary stat buff. It is an extra bun to your already piano spec, but it will be worth pressing it, trust us. For the Doomwinds build, Forceful Winds will take the cake as the best talent on this row. It's a passive that will increase your Wind Fury damage each time Wind Fury procs up to a maximum of 5 stacks. Some say that this will get better in AoE without changing your rotation. The new kid on the block that will come with the Cleave build will be Lashing Flames. This talent will make you feel like a demon hunter with the Burning Wound legendary. What? You will leave a debuff on your targets when lava lashing that will make your flame shocks instant and dot damage hit like a truck. A lot of trucks here. It is a 2-in-1 talent with very powerful single target damage and you can cleave it on everything when Hot Hand activates. On the second row for the single target and Cleave build you will go for, you guessed it, Hot Hand. Don't worry, here all choices will be passive, so Hot Hand will give your auto attacks with Flame Tongue a small chance that will proc almost non-stop to reduce the cooldown of Lava Lash by a lot and double its damage. For the Doomwinds build you will go for Storm Flurry, a little RNG provided to your Storm Strike to make it hit again for less damage, and it can chain off of itself. Feels like a Wind Fury for Storm Strike, Storm Fury if you will. On a level 30 row you will have the freedom of choosing what you think helps you more depending on the situation. Spirit Wolf will be one of your choices. This will transform Ghost Wolf into a defensive cooldown if you can spend 4 seconds in that form. Why 4 seconds? Because that's how much it takes for all of the stacks to get to maximum and you can still take reduced damage gradually up until that point. The other useful talent will be Earth Shield. Unfortunately, you cannot use both Earth Shield and Lightning Shield at once on you, but your Earth Shield will be very useful when constant damage occurs, and on top of that, you can put it on a member of your group to help them out. Next down the row, you will have Elemental Assault as the best pick in single target situations, regardless of what build you choose. This talent will increase Storm Strike's damage, and every time you use it, it will generate 1 stack of Maelstrom weapon. In sustained AoE situations, you can swap to Hailstorm and can be used by all builds as long as there are up to 5 targets. Thanks to the damage buffs received with 9.2 to Frost Shock, this talent will transform it into a heavy-hitting cleave spell after you have consumed up to 5 stacks of Maelstrom weapon, of course. On top of that, it will put Frost Shock much higher in the priority list. With the new cleave build, finally Fire Nova will make its appearance into your toolkit, having a very easy way to spread Flame Shock now on top of your Necro or Venthyr abilities. Fire Nova will take the ribbon in M+, and will be a good choice for funnel damage as well. On the utility row, all options are viable depending on what you need, but the only option here that can provide some DPS increase will be Feral Lunge. Another extra button, but this time it's a charge with a small damage on top. This will be worth pressing when starting the fight to close the gap faster between you and your target, or when you get a mechanic that needs you to run out of the group and get back faster on the target. Windrush Totem will usually be a must pick when your raid needs movement speed. It will let you place a totem and everyone that enters in its circle will receive a 5-second movement increase. And speaking of damage dealing, you cannot deal more damage if you are dead. Ha! Am I right? No. Okay. Nature's Guardian, like for all other shamans, will be your personal mini cheat death talent. This talent will save your ass when you drop to low HP, healing you for a hefty amount on a relatively short cooldown. On the next row, the best and only option will be Sundering. We all know this spell from Heroes of the Storm as well, and it will shatter the ground in a line for a big ass damage while also incapacitating all targets it hits for 2 seconds. This talent will be more powerful with Doom Winds in AoE situations and will be very useful to instantly interrupt AoE targets when everything else is on cooldown. The other options are too much of a headache and need perfect use in order to come even close to Sundering. On the last row, Elemental Spirits will be the best pick for the single target, cleave build, and every build after you get the 2 set piece bonus. It will reduce the cooldown of your Feral Spirits, and thanks to the Witch Doctor's Wolf Bones legendary that you will use, it will make Feral Spirits an almost 30 seconds cooldown. On top of that, depending on the elemental of the spirit, you will get 1 or 2 extra buffs. For your Bursty Doom Winds build, and before 2-piece set, you can choose Ascendant. This will transform you into an Air Ascendant, dealing damage to every enemy around you. It reduces the cooldown of Storm Strike and transforms it into Wind Strike. While being in this form, your auto attacks will bypass armor and will have a 30-yard range together with Wind Strike. Note that you will always swap to Elemental Spirits when you gain the 2-piece tier set bonus, even with Doom Winds. As always, we will recommend you to sim your character to get the best DPS out of it, and we already have a video on it on our channel. For now though, we will provide you with a rough representation of what you will need to get that damage rolling. Firstly, agility will be the top dog and will put eye level on top of your desire list. Next up, for single target when using the Doom Winds build, you will aim for haste, follow it up with mastery for AoE and with Witch Doctor single target build, because if Storm Flurry is your jam, mastery won't be your peanut butter. Ayy! After that, you will want versatility. It is a good all-around stat with crit all the way to the bottom. Note that if you are playing Venthyr, crit will rise all the way to haste levels of importance. For your weapon enchants, go for 1 Celestial Guidance in every situation, and when you need more single target, get that Sinful Revelation enchant. Otherwise, you can swap Sinful with Lightless Force in constant AoE scenarios. Go with Eternal Stats enchant on your chest on high-end content and the Eternal Skirmish one for the best single target damage output. Don't forget the Heavy Desolate Armor Kit temporary add-on, especially in high level content. On your boots, go for the extra agility provided by the Eternal Agility enchant. And for your cloak, opt for the Fortified Avoidance enchant, and your ass will be safer in higher content or every time an AoE spell has a big chance to kill you. As for your gems, go for the Quick Jewel Cluster for that sweet extra haste and use the Tenet of Haste enchant on your rings. Also, a huge recommendation here is to sim your character and swap the gems with the counterparts that sims recommend. For your alchemical needs, go with the Spectral Flask of Power for the extra agility it provides. Use the Potion of Spectral Agility as the best potion you can find out there for every situation. As your temporary weapon enchant, you don't need no bullshit oil or shade stones. Nah man, you're an enhancement shaman. You enhance your own weapons to save money, so don't forget that Wind Fury weapon and Flame Tongue weapon. And when you get hungry, go for the Feast of Gluttonous Hedonism for that all-powerful agility, or swap to the Tenebrous Crown Roast aspect in case you don't have access to the feast or the counterpart food that Sims will recommend you eat. .2 has finally come and has reduced enhancement possibilities to 2 very powerful covenants, Nightfey and Necros. Pantheer is not far behind in AoE, but loses the #1 spot. Anyway, Nightfey is the top dog for enhancement when raiding. Their covenant ability will be Fey Transfusion. It's a high damage AoE channel spell that can generate a maximum of 3 stacks of Maelstrom weapon for you and heal you for a portion of the damage dealt. The Nightfey's signature ability will be Soul Shape, a short distance blink with more move speed attached to it, something you will always be happy to have in your toolkit. For the single target Witch Doctor build, Nia will be a very good pick. With her 3 potency conduit path, she will provide you with some very powerful traits. The Groove Invigoration trait will start Nia's toolkit, giving you a chance to get stacks that buff you with both HP and Mastery, granting you a bunch load more when you use your Covenant ability. Nia Soul's Poison will be the trait to pick this patch thanks to the 3rd potency conduit it provides, and if you can interrupt targets, your DPS will only improve. Lastly, Bonded Hearts will be a shared and amplification of Groove Invigoration, but be sure to be near a party member from another covenant so the buff will be doubled. This time Dreamweaver was saved for last, and it will be your best pick in every situation as long as you can stain the damn flowers. His traits are very powerful when it comes to progress rating, as Pot Tender will come to you with another cheat death on top of your Nature's Guardian talent. You will pick all potency traits till Field of Blossoms, and as long as you will be able to stain the fields, you'll be a super hasty damage dealing machine. The Waking Dreams trait will be an extra addition to your defensive toolkit, providing you with a small shield. And finally, the Dream Delver trait will give you a small extra damage buff on every target you touch. Your second most wanted covenant will be the Necro Buddies, a powerful alternative to Nightfey's in Mythic Plus and a decent one in Raid. Their covenant specific ability will be Primordial Wave. It will deal shadow damage to your target, will apply Flame Shock, and will buff the damage of your next Lightning Bolt, making it hit every target affected by Flame Shock. This will be very useful in cleaving situations thanks to Necro's Conduit that gives your Primordial Wave a chance to reset its cooldown. The Necro's signature ability will be Fleshcraft, a channeled shield that can have a different effect depending on the used soulbind. Although all soulbinds are good and they synergize well with the Covenant specific conduit if you are lucky, the most flexible and useful soulbind you should go for is Bonesmith Heimer. Her trait tree will have Forgeborn Reveries on top, a small agility increase trait depending on the numbers of enchants you have on you. You do have all your enchants, right? Plus a small, hey, I have died mechanic that will let you attack for half of your damage for a while before you actually die. You will take 3 potency conduits path as they are too good in order to not take them all, and you will reach Carver's Eye almost at the end of Heimer's straight tree. This will provide you with a bunch of mastery that stacks whenever you attack full HP targets. At the bottom of the tree you will find Mnemonic Equipment, a small execute extra damage that will repeat a portion of your damage dealt as a dot to your targets. As an alternative to Heimer, more and more people are swapping to Plague Deviser Merilith in M+. His toolkit is just too good for it, like Volatile Solvent, which will provide you with some buffs depending on where or on top of what dead enemies you cast Fleshcraft on, or if you just pass them by their dead bodies while you have it on you. But one thing is certain, you will always get the mastery buff from yourself. The Ooze's frictionless coating will help you endure more when you fall under half HP, as it will provide you with a small absorb shield. Ultimate form will transform Fleshcraft into a nope, fuck this CC that is about to come, or tanks that pull you at Artificer with the Glyph mechanic, since you will be immune to CC when casting it. Next ability you will receive while being soulbound with Merilith will be Undulating Maneuvers, and it will provide you with a small staggering mechanic while you are close to full HP. Finally, Kevin's Oozling will be the star on Merilith's Soulbind tree, as it will summon an Oozling to fight for you every time you use your Covenant ability. This will synergize very well with the Covenant specific conduit, as it will reset the cooldown of your Covenant ability like we mentioned before, and you can keep a higher uptime on the Oozling. Honorable mentions to our former Prime Covenant, the Venthiers, as they are still close to the ones we mentioned and very good in open world or PvP. They have a pretty interesting AoE build thanks to the double Legos that focuses a lot on crit, and on top of that they are the only ones to use an elemental legendary in their build. Walking down the paths we recommended before will require you have some actual conduits for the potency ones, and with all the builds go for the focused lightning conduit. Thanks to the buff it received in 9.2, this conduit will increase the damage or healing of your maelstrom consuming spells by a way bigger amount than before. When using the single target and cleave builds, go for Magma Fist second. Again, with a small buff in 9.2, your Lava Lash will be very happy and will have extra crit chance when hitting a target affected by me shock. When using Doom Winds, swap this one with the Unruly Winds conduit, and you will make your Wind Fury weapon have a chance to hit again and again and again, generating much more Maelstrom weapon than you can imagine. For your third and final conduit of choice will usually be the Covenant specific one. The Essential Extraction one from Night Fae will reduce the cooldown of Fate Transfusion, letting you cast it more often and in more useful situations with more fields to stand in. If Necro is your Covenant, the Tumbling Waves will attach an RNG mechanic to your Primordial Wave to reset its cooldown, so you will get more haste from the Covenant specific legendary, more cleave with more lightning bolts buffed, more flame shocks, almost everything more you can wish for. The Ventier's Conduit Lavish Harvest will be a niche pick, but will shine more with the Covenant specific legendary in AoE situations. In some cases you can swap to Chilled to the core. This will work nicely with the Witch Doctor's legendary and Hellstorm talent, putting your Frost Shock a little higher in the priority list. For your Endurance Conduits, you can use the Refreshing Waters one. It will increase your self-healing provided by Healing Surge. Second Vital Accretion will increase your maximum HP as long as the Earth Elemental is on the field. If by any means you need a third conduit, the new Condensed Atmosphere will take the cake and will provide again a little sustained healing when continuously taking damage. In your finesse slots, Thunderous Paws will be the most useful one, providing you with a little burst of speed when going into Ghost Wolf form on a 1 minute cooldown. When in dungeons, you can also take or swap to Totemic Surge to reduce the cooldown of your stun or the I Have No Fear totem. In your trinket slots, as you are a melee, go farm fucking Plaguefall for the Phial of Putrefaction. Yes, it will be, as always, one of the best trinkets out there. Next up, head to the other side dungeon for the Inscrutable Quantum Device, so you can have more burst when using Ascendance, considering it aligns perfectly with it. With the new Tazavesh dungeon split into two, you can go for Solia's Secret Technique. This trinket will almost be a passive one, as you can put it on a player, making both of you happy for 30 minutes. And forget about it, you just need to find the one with the right stats for you. From the raid, the Prototype Pantheon will come to you with two powerful options in the first Sigil, a very high versatility on-use trinket that comes with a 5-minute cooldown that will most likely be the best one you can find, and Elegy of Eternals, a good trinket that will provide you with some extra secondary stats, sharing a small portion of that stat with other party members that use the same covenants as you do. From Artificer Zymox, you can get the Cache of Acquired Treasures. This can have the potential to be a very good trinket with its 3 cycles that you can choose from. For different buffs, there are lots of weak cards to track what it will provide you with, but what we can say is that you have 1 high burst single target cycle that can crit, 1 big haste buff, or 1 AoE bleed you can choose from on a 3-minute cooldown. For your weapons of choice, go for Double Domination's Deliverance from the Jailer for every situation because of the highest eye level they provide. Otherwise, if you cannot get them, any 278 weapons from the vault will do the trick. For the legendaries, the Witch Doctor's Wolfbones will be the chosen one for raiding. Build it on your ring slot and you will get a small extra chance to gain a stack of Maelstrom weapon, and whenever you get a stack, the cooldown of Feral Spirits will be reduced. As an alternative to this legendary, you can use the Primal Lava Actuators for both the single target and cleave builds. You should build it on your wrist slots and you will get extra damage on your Lava Lash whenever Flame Shock hits a target and will reduce its cooldown. Finally, for the Doom Winds build, you will use the legendary with the same name, Doom Winds. It will take your cloak slot this time and it will provide you with a 1-minute burst window every time you drop a Wind Fury totem. The issue with this build is that it starts to fall off behind the others, and the only reason to take it will be if your group really needs uncapped AoE. When you are seeing this video, double legendaries probably just got out or you are very close to achieving it anyway. After you finish the new Zeroth Mortis campaign, you will receive the Unity Belt, which will provide you with the Covenant-specific legendary effect, and you can swap it at a point to a different slot. Usually the Helm slot will provide you with the most amount of extra stats. When raiding with the Feral Spirits build, and even with a Cleave build, you will want to be Night Fae and combine Unity with the Witch Doctor's Wolf Bones legendary, or even with the Primal Lava actuators. When combining the Witch Doctor Wolf Bones with the Night Fae legendary, you will have almost non-stop uptime of your Feral Spirits. For multi-target and funnel situations, the Necrolord's Unity effect will be best paired with the Primal Lava actuators. This combination will provide you with a lot of haste when cleaving with lightning bolts on many targets. Don't think we have forgotten the Venthirs. They will have 2 builds up their sleeves that will be very powerful in AoE situations. A Burstier build with Unity and Doomwinds, and a more sustained AoE build with the Skybreaker's Fiery Demise. We know it is not an enhancement legendary, but trust us, you will see the difference with the high crit chance when you will be chain harvesting left and right and center. Finally, the tier sets we deserved were launched, and Enhancements 1 will be one of the coolest out of the bunch. With your 2-piece spending Maelstrom stacks will give you a chance to summon 1 Feral Spirit to fight for you for a while. So you can have even more than 2 Feral Spirits up at a time, and this will help with the 4-piece bonus, as it will make any active Feral Spirits have a good chance to trigger Stormbringer. So Fire Wolves and Storms, and what more can you ask for your flashy chamois? What you need to know before getting into the rotation is that the tier pieces don't really change your rotation. The decider of your rotation usually stands in the build you choose. So to represent the rotation, we have used the Witch Doctor's legendary Night Fae Covenant with single target builds for single target, and the new AoE funnel build Necrolord with Primal Lava actuator legendaries. Your opener in single target situations will have you use Wind Fury Totem before pull as close to the boss as you can. Flame Shock after while going to your target. Feral Lunge if talented, cast Feral Spirits, use Lava Lash, use Storm Strike after, Fey Transfusion is next, and continue with the priority. For your single target priority, Wind Fury Totem, if is not active, will be the first on the list. Feral Spirits on cooldown, Fey Transfusion on cooldown, Lava Lash if Hot Hand is active or Primal Lava at high stacks, Flame Shock if it's not on the target. If Flame Shock is about to drop, use Lava Lash. Elemental Blast at 5 stacks of Maelstrom on cooldown. Lightning Bolt if at 10 stacks and Elemental Blast is on cooldown. Storm Strike on cooldown. Lava Lash on cooldown. Crash Lightning if others are on cooldown and you have 6 stacks. Sundering on cooldown. Frost Shock after. Crash Lightning if nothing else is available. Flame Shock if it drops off the target. And refresh Wind Fury Totem. For your multi-target opener plus Fire Nova, you will have to use Wind Fury Totem before the fight starts, Flame Shock on your way into melee, Crash Lightning for the AoE buff, Lava Lash to spread Flame Shock, Fey Transfusion next, Feral Spirits after, use Storm Strike and continue with the priority. Wind Fury Totem is first again if it's not active, use Feral Spirits on cooldown, pop Fire Nova if you have 4 or more Flame Shocks active, Primordial Wave if the buff is not up, Lava Lash if Lashing Flames is inactive on targets and to spread Flame Shock, Chain Lightning if at high Maelstrom stacks, Flame Shock if not active on the target, Lightning Bolt with 5 stacks of Maelstrom weapon and Primordial Wave active, Frost Shock if Hailstorm is talented and with the 5 stacks of Maelstrom used, Sundering on cooldown, Crash Lightning for the AoE buff, Lava Lash with Crash Lightning buff, Storm Strike with a Crash Lightning buff, Fire Nova with 2 or more Flame Shocks active, Crash Lightning on cooldown, Storm Strike without the Crash buff, and refresh Wind Fury. Enhancement changed a lot and we couldn't have done it without the help of Decoy, one of LEGO's Enhancement Shamans in a very high mythic rating guild, and also Ward Up, who have helped us understand enhancement a little bit better. And if you still have questions or you want to delve deeper into the spec and learn the advanced intricacies of the spec, check the enhancement Discord, Earth Shrine Discord, in the link down below, and you will get more information from a lot of very good enhancement players that are all around the place playing enhancement in this patch, because it is pumping. Thank you to our patrons for supporting the video and making all of this possible. You guys rock, and we really appreciate everything that you do and staying with us in these trying WoW and YouTube times. It really helps us a lot. You wouldn't even imagine. And if you, dear viewer, want to support us a little bit more, and if you like our content and want to give a little bit back, you can check the Patreon link down below. We have a bunch of tiers that you can check out. Maybe there's something there for you, like a wallpaper reward or anything like that. Check it out. Thank you for watching the video. See you next time.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classical retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.